You've got a big deadline tomorrow. It's the kind of deadline you can't ignore. You feel the tension building in your chest. You sit at your desk, open your laptop, and stare at the blank document. And that's when you notice it. A mysterious urge. You absolutely must wipe down the kitchen counter right now. Your brain launches a scavenger hunt for every task except the one that matters. Suddenly, microwave splatters are urgent. You convince yourself that reorganizing your sock drawer will somehow help you meet your professional goals. 15 minutes later, your closet is neater, but your project is untouched. And the deadline ticks closer. Why do these pointless urges hit the hardest exactly when they shouldn't? We've all lived the strange ritual of pre-deadline productivities. Some people find themselves alphabetizing spices before a test. Others decide it's time to dust under the couch before responding to a work email. You might even stroll aimlessly to the fridge and rearrange condiment bottles for no reason at all. None of this actually helps with the deadline. Cleaning the cat's water bowl does not make tax season go away. Everyone does this privately, often thinking that no one else could possibly be this irrational. But there's a reason your brain suddenly craves distraction the moment you need to focus the most. And it's not laziness. Let's start with the simple surface-level mechanism. Your brain just wants relief from tension. When a big deadline looms, it feels heavy, uncomfortable, even a little scary. The human mind is surprisingly bad at just sitting with that discomfort, so it grabs onto the first small, achievable task in reach. It doesn't matter if the task makes sense, only that it's possible. Wiping crumbs off the counter is a classic. It takes just a minute or two. It provides a quick shot of accomplishment. A sparkling counter cannot fire you. A work project maybe could. Socks never judge your grammar. This basic urge is called micro-avoidance. Your nervous system is wired to reduce discomfort as fast as possible. So, your attention latches onto that spotty fork in the sink instead of the blank cursor on your screen. Even though you told yourself there's no time for chores today, suddenly doing the dishes feels weirdly urgent. The irony is, finishing a pointless chore actually works. You feel a flash of satisfaction. For about 3 seconds, then the deadline returns. This is your brain, hacking itself out of discomfort, one tiny, useless victory at a time. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a deeper emotional mechanism at play. Deadlines turn a regular moment into a high-stakes moment. Suddenly, your sense of self-worth is on the line. It's not just about finishing the work, it's about proving you're reliable, smart, capable, whatever identity feels at risk. So, the pressure triggers insecurity. Insecurity scrambles you to seek control, somewhere, anywhere. You can't control the outcome of your presentation or pass a test in advance. But you can absolutely control the dust bunnies behind the trash can. Each tiny task is a pocket of certainty. If you can master the state of your fridge shelves, maybe you're not failing everything else. So you clean, you organize, you align the pens on your desk like a general inspecting their troops. For a few moments, you are in charge. You don't feel quite so defenseless before the giant, abstract anxiety machine that is a deadline. The emotional logic is backwards, but it works. You feel less doomed. Of course, this control is just a little illusion. The deadline remains entirely unmoved by your fresh vacuum lines. But the illusion is sometimes enough to buy you another 5 minutes of not panicking. Next, the social and cultural mechanism. Procrastination is supposed to be private. But consider this, some tasks are socially acceptable procrastination, and others are just seen as lazy. Tidying your bookshelves or doing laundry doesn't look like avoidance, it looks like you're being responsible. If anyone asks, you're not procrastinating, you're simply making productive use of your time. If you scroll endlessly on your phone, you feel guilty. If you sweep the hallway, you get a little buzz of moral approval. Society gives us escape hatches for stress, as long as they look productive. So, in the hours before a deadline, you'll see people watering plants, baking bread, color-coding notebooks, scanning old receipts, anything with a tiny stamp of virtue. These rituals aren't just about avoiding the real work, they're micro-performances for yourself, maybe even others. It's almost like if you can't be a successful professional, at least you can briefly look like a model citizen. Some cultures even build in rituals for productive procrastination: sudden urge to sweep before exams, late-night batch cooking during finals week, the infamous spring cleaning binge before writing a term paper. There's also the showmanship of telling friends you deep clean the house instead of working. It's almost a badge of honor. Collective avoidance with bonus style points. Underneath it all, there's the hope that if your life looks neat, your work might magically get done. Now, the ultra-personal mechanism. Everyone's flavor of deadline avoidance is weirdly specific. One person starts brushing their dog. Another color codes email folders. Someone else, for reasons even they can't explain, repots a plant at midnight. Even pets look confused. These signature moves usually tie back to early comfort rituals. Maybe as a kid, tidying your room helped you feel calm before math tests. Or helping with dishes signaled the end of a stressful family dinner. These small physical routines imprint on your nervous system. Years later, deadlines still trigger the same comfort program, even if it makes no obvious sense now. Some people procrastinate by making to-do lists about their to-do lists, as if organization itself will tame the chaos. Others invent a ritual, sharpening pencils, dusting monitor screens, refolding backup sweatshirts. Often it's survival theater. Your rituals become a private language your body uses to reassure your brain that you're okay, in a world of unknownness. The brain will use whatever tools it has, even if the tool is scrubbing a mug that already looks perfectly clean. Each person's micro-procrastinations are like a signature, impossible to duplicate, a tiny act of hope. You could analyze your weirdest deadline, avoidance moments like rings on a tree. Each one marks a tiny story of stress and survival. So what do we do with all this? First, it's probably not helping to blame yourself when you start dusting instead of working. The urge to clean before a deadline is the brain's clumsy way to handle anxiety, regain control, and flex a little socially approved virtue. It's a symptom, not a failure. You can't really logic your way out of being human, but you can notice these rituals as a kind of signal. A signal that something feels risky, personal, or overwhelming. When you catch yourself alphabetizing pens in the face of a deadline, you might try using that as a cue to pause. Ask, what's actually making this feel big and scary? What's the very first micro step I could take on the real task, just to shrink the intimidation? Instead of fighting your distraction superpowers, maybe you can recruit them, set a timer, give yourself permission to clean for 5 minutes, then commit to one real work attempt. Sometimes folding laundry is just folding laundry, and sometimes it's your secret code for I'm nervous and I care about this. You don't have to outsmart your brain every time. Sometimes just knowing the reason behind your pre-deadline efficiencies takes the sting out. The next time you find yourself scrubbing a perfectly clean mug while a giant task looms, you're not alone, and you're not broken. You're just a human being, hacking your own anxiety with a little borrowed order. It might not get the job done, but your fridge shelves have never looked better. If you want more slow, strange explanations for the weirdest things you do, subscribe to The Weird Reason, because sometimes the answer is just a shelf full of alphabetized condiments.